Cars are a huge part of our modern society, first invented back in 1866 by a guy named Carl Benz. Ever since then, through mass production, advancing technology, and different cultures within our societies, they've gained greater meaning than simply being something that gets us from point A to point B.
Sure? Yeah.
Now apply this knowledge to video games, a form of entertainment that thrives off of interaction, a definitive mixture of music, literature, illustrations, a unique art form in its own right. And we get games about racing across a city full of triggerable hazards like it's a Michael Bay film. We get games about traveling a wasteland within a car, slowly modifying it over time, a top-down derby where you use different cars with different weapons. But beyond that, what is there to it? What purpose can a car serve in a game that's not about cars? Well, for one, it can get you to point A to point B. Maybe you like to drive around in like a slick ride, perhaps perform some stunts. But in terms of using a car, that's also rudimentary, to say the least. A good way to elevate the purpose of a car in a game is to tie it to an important mechanic. Like, it can help you mid-battle, maybe you can use it to visit other worlds, etc, etc. Then I gave this some thought. If a vehicle is tied to an important mechanic and you can't drive the vehicle, then isn't the vehicle aspect of this mechanic worthless? Wouldn't the vehicle part purely be an aesthetic choice, purely by the developer's intentions?
Yes.
So the best use for a vehicle within a non-vehicular based game is do more than serve the basic purposes of the average vehicle and being tied to an important mechanic while still being drivable. Speaking of the term vehicle, I think it's at hand to discuss more than cars. I'm talking tanks, jets, boats, you name it. Of course, there exist games for boats, jets, and tanks. There even exists a game where you can play as all three of them. But let's apply the same question from earlier to non-land based vehicles. What is the purpose in a game outside of their realm? Let me ask you a question, dear viewer. Could you fight a car with your bare hands? I definitely know I could. I bet I can easily suplex a 3,705 pound Ford Mustang GT going at 162 miles per hour. Could you combat the
Dmitry Donskoy,
the largest nuclear submarine in the world with only your two God-given hands? I know I definitely could put it in a chokehold. But how does a game do it though? How can a game make a vehicle, of all things, an opponent and make it good? The answer is, well, many. In lots of games where the enemy is just a vehicle, you are also a vehicle, which just equals the playing field. But in a case where you're just not playing as a vehicle, you can probably just be a man who has to use weapons, explosives, and whatnot in order to combat vehicles, even using other vehicles yourself. Maybe you're just an absolute powerhouse, and that forces your enemies to use vehicles like helicopters and tanks to combat you equally. What about customizing a vehicle? It's obviously more than just body mods, paint jobs, and rim changes. You gotta make it faster, more durable, maybe give it some nitro or some exotic upgrade that makes your car do crazy shit. What if your car can already do crazy shit and you have to use that over the course of the game? Maybe have multiple cars that do different types of crazy shit. What if you had a car-based game with different game modes, like a tag game mode, hide and seek, perform stunts for points? The possibilities are limited only to the imagination of the developer of a game, specifically a car game. What if there was like a fashion show for cars? Players drive into a parking lot and vote who has the best car. It's kind of like fashion in, normal games, but for vehicles. That actually sounds kind of stupid, to be honest. Crossout is a game that exists where you can create the cars. You can make a simple race car, a pickup truck, a torpedo that's like a buggy, a colossal war crime, or you can cater to the inner stupid within you. I like Halo's Warthog. The idea of a vehicle being completely operated by two players is so elegant and brilliant. The Elephant takes us to the next level. It's literally a building with wheels and turrets, and it's unapologetically grand. This video was a nothing burger of a video. I just thought about vehicles in video games and wanted to make a video on them.
Goodbye.